Number 16, skydive. I wanted to skydive literally as soon as I heard it was something that you could do. Now I know that's not unique. I know skydiving is probably on most people's bucket lists. But you know, that was years and years ago. And as I got older, the more hesitant I was to actually jump out of a plane. There were a lot of factors that contributed to that. And then also pursuing a career in healthcare, I saw a lot of injuries that were related to people performing activities that, although were exhilarating, were pretty dangerous at the same time. What's more, you know, I'm afraid of heights. Part of that fear of heights stems from the fear of falling and the fear of sustaining an injury. And because like I worked so hard for most of my life and was finally at a point in my career where I wanted to be, I didn't want to jeopardize that with a potential injury. Although, you know, it has a pretty good track record in terms of safety here in the US, that doesn't mean that it's completely foolproof. I started questioning to myself, do I really want to do this? So I figured that it was now or never. Like, I need to go skydiving now, or I will probably be less and less likely to do it as I get older. So I bit the bullet and I scheduled my skydiving date just a couple of days before my birthday as a present to myself. The facility where I jumped, they offered an altitude jump of 18,000 feet. That's the highest altitude that you can jump from in the Midwest. So that was awesome. In regards to my actual experience, the actual physical jumping out of a plane, that part of the experience wasn't as high velocity as I thought it was gonna be. And because of that, you know, it wasn't as exhilarating to me. I thought it would be, the velocity of that free fall, I thought would be similar to a roller coaster where you can actually feel that speed. But when you jump out of the plane, you feel like kind of time is at a standstill and you're just floating, looking down into the earth. When the parachute was released, it was also like a very, you know, slow, although very reassuring part of the descent. I would say probably the most exhilarating thing was when they pulled on the ropes that changed the direction of the parachute.
Right hand down, pull it. There you go.
And I think part of the reason why I didn't feel significant surges of adrenaline after I jumped out of the plane was because emotionally, by the time I physically got on that plane, I was spent. The days leading up to the jump, the day of, the drive to the jump, the information that we got during our video lesson and our in-person lesson.
It is important that you understand that if you choose to make a parachute jump, any such malfunction, failure to perform, or change in weather conditions may cause or contribute to your injury or death.
Do you have anything you want to add for the camera?
I was just so nervous that I think by the time that I got on the plane, my emotions were spent. And by the time I jumped, I was just like dead inside and I couldn't spare like any excitement.
Also, I was super distracted by my ears popping at that altitude. If I were to do it all over again, I totally would take a non-sedating antihistamine such as loratadine or fexofenadine a couple of hours before jumping to make the jump more comfortable and make that issue less distracting. As always, consult with your physician before applying any medical advice that you find online.
But anyway, I am still really happy that I partook in that experience. I definitely don't regret it. I'm really glad that I did it because I did face something that I was terrified to do, and there was a possibility that I might not even have gone through with it because I was getting increasingly fearful of jumping out of a plane the older I got. So after I jumped, I wanted to scour the internet and kind of gain the perspective of people who wanted to complete their first jump but didn't. Someone on Reddit had asked the question, is there something you've always wanted to do but haven't done it yet? What's stopping you from doing or experiencing that activity? And in the comment section, a lot of people had mentioned that they wanted to skydive. Someone had mentioned that money, time, and prioritizing responsibilities were something that prevented them from pursuing that endeavor. And for me personally, it was predominantly fear that prevented me from jumping out of a plane. That was something that I wanted to address, as well as give some tips to any first-time jumpers. If you're feeling fear, know that it's completely normal. I was terrified before my first jump. And personally, in order to minimize that fear, there were a couple of things that I did to try and address things within that particular situation that I could control. Number one, I didn't, and I would recommend that you not skimp on the experience. I found the highest rated place in my area, the one with the best track record for safety, and I paid a little extra, but paying more just to provide that reassurance to myself was definitely a small price to pay.
If you're diving in the US, the bare minimum to look for in a skydiving school is someone that is part of the USPA established group member program.
Another thing that I did to minimize that fear was over preparing for the jump. So in addition to checking out the FAQs on the website and all the information that was provided when I signed up for the jump, during the pre-jump video training and in-person training, they go over the method as to how you're going to physically exit the plane, how your body should be aligned during the free fall, during the landing. And so I went over those movements physically in a corner. I abandoned my friends. And I went over those movements repeatedly from the time I learned them to the time that I got on the plane, so that when it came to the actual experience, I wasn't worried about doing the right motions because, I channeled that nervous energy into preparing in that way. I was able to better enjoy the experience. If cost is an issue, you can save for the experience, or some facilities like the one that I went to, they offered financing. Now, I personally wouldn't want to finance my experience. I would rather have the money up front than commit to a monthly payment, because there's always the possibility of missing or being unable to pay for a future payment. I have included a link below to an amazing free personal finance resource that I use myself. It's created by Ramit Sethi, author of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He provides a great resource as to how to wisely and very easily save your money, and also provides ideas on how you can earn more money.
If you want to purchase photo or video to commemorate your experience, remember to incorporate that into your estimated cost and save accordingly.
Another thing that kind of held me back in terms of not accomplishing just my first skydiving experience, but other things in my life as well, and that is not feeling ready, not feeling like I have enough time, feeling like I'm really busy at the moment and I can't make time. In my experience, I just have to make time for the things that I wanted. So I just forced myself to just pick a day and just schedule it, and the rest kind of fell into place. If a feeling that you're not ready for something, or you're afraid to do something that you want to do is lingering, just do it. The alternative is to live with the regret that you didn't pursue that or didn't do it. And I think the worst thing that could happen is that you didn't try. Another tip that I would have for first-time jumpers is to keep your eyes open. If you are tempted to close your eyes, ask yourself, when is the next time you're going to be able to see the world from that perspective? So keep your eyes open, plus it looks better in photos and video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in joining me in my journey in accomplishing all of the things that I want to do, and the things that I think define the life that I kind of want to lead, the kind of life that I want to lead, I would love it if you would subscribe to my newsletter, which is located on my website, livinglisted.com. On that website, I hope you also find inspiration in regards to how you can live the life that you dream of, however you define that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome to Chicagoland Skydiving Center in Rochelle, Illinois. My name is Chris. I'm here with Saba. Saba, tell everybody, what are we about to go do?
We're about to jump out of a plane at 18,000 feet.
All right, and what's your decision for doing this? You have a special occasion?
I've always wanted to, and then my birthday's in a couple of days, so I thought, why not?
All right.
Big time.
Excellent. So we're going to go make a birthday jump from 18,000 feet. Do you have anything you want to add for the camera?
Good luck.
Jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. How you feel?
I feel great.
You ready to have some fun?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're going to pull our right hand down. Pull it. There you go.